All right, what's good, TikTok and YouTube? And I should have had this video out like on the 21st, but I got caught up with some stuff. So this is going to be my Marvel Spider-Man 2 story trailer breakdown and speculation video. Um I did the same thing for not Spider-Man, Jedi Survivor and whatnot. So I'm gonna do the same thing for majority of games that come out, at least the ones that I'm like hyped for. But anyway, if you're new, please hit the subscribe button. Um, turn on notifications bell. Again, I just woke up, so I'm like out of it a little bit. Turn notification bells so you know when I upload and stream. And let's get into it.
Lots happened in the last 10 years. It's a miracle I'm even sitting here now. I got a second chance.
All right, so first off, I want to say why Harry, why you look like a Chad, bro? I'm not gonna lie, you look like a whole entire Chad. But so we get this first beautiful shot of Harry and Peter talking, which I believe this is going to be somewhere maybe in the beginning of the game, if not like somewhere close to like the middle of the beginning of the game, just because it honestly would make a lot of sense. And plus, like, unless this is like in the like middle half of the game or like the second half of the game, then I can see that too. But I generally think this is going to be like at the beginning. And it also seems to be that Harry and Peter are at like a school. So maybe their old high school or something. Or maybe even like the college. Because I'm not sure if it was confirmed in the first game if Harry, Peter, and MJ all went to the same college with each other. But if they did, I'm guessing that's where Harry and Peter are talking. And he said it's been 10 years, so I forgot like he was gone for like 9 years in the first game. But no, I generally do like the design for Harry and whatnot. Like it does look good. Like I'm not gonna lie, it looks good.
And I'm gonna take advantage of that. But I need you with me, Pete.
Hey yo, real quick, why Peter look like a whole anime character?
We're gonna heal the world.
Nah, dude. Ah, crap! I want to pause right there. All right, we get this next beautiful shot of Miles and Peter jumping off the building and swinging with each other, which Miles looks to seem to have his new suit, which that's actually what I'm very curious about to see, like how Peter and Miles gets their new suit, like because we know Miles' suit got ripped up in the first game or in his game, and like he repaired it. So I'm wondering how he's actually gonna like what made him upgrade it, because I know like every Spider-Man that gets beat up that badly, they upgrade their suit to have like strong material. And even though this is the same suit, just with like the red lines going down the hands and like the chest part going down a little longer, I generally do like the suit. Like I do. Also, Peter's suit looks very good, and I do believe so if you go on HotToys.com, they actually confirmed the name of these suits, which is Miles' suit is called the upgraded suit, and then Peter's suit is called the upgraded Advanced Suit 2.0. So, but no, so I actually love how they did this shot, because it's like you see that Peter
I
and
need you
Miles
with
do
me,
their
Pete.
own like
We're
respectable
gonna heal the
pose
world.
when they're jumping, which I absolutely love. I just love that. I'm sorry. But no, I generally so because Miles got his new suit, obviously we're probably gonna start off the game with like the old suits before we get the new ones. Obviously, because that's how it started with the Miles game where Peter was in his old advanced suit and when it got damaged and whatnot, so that's probably gonna be the case in this. But yeah, that's probably gonna be the case in this to where Peter and Miles are gonna like I don't know who they're gonna fight per se because it's like in order for these two to get their suits, something has to happen to their old ones. So I'm trying to think like who they probably would fight that would damage their suits, and I'm thinking out if out of the villain categories that I know that could probably do like actually damage to Peter and Miles to where they would have to get new suits or upgrade their suits. It's either between Rafe uh who else I'm trying to think. Either Rafe, Mysterio, or I was gonna say Shocker, but I'm not sure. Or Electro. Like I don't think Electro gonna like. I know, for Marvel Spider-Man 2 mocaption post they did show that Joss Keaton is back as Electro in Marvel Spider-Man 2, so maybe Electro like beat them up like badly and whatnot. But that's honestly like the ones I can really think of because like I know there's a lot more villains, but it's like a lot of them haven't even really been referenced. The only ones that have been referenced are like Mysterio, Lizard, what's his name, freaking Chameleon, etc. But yeah, dang, bro, this one actually moves a little fast. I'm not gonna lie. All right, so then we get a beautiful shot, which I believe that is actually the Brooklyn Bridge. So, but we do get this beautiful shot of the city and the bridge, which, bro, this game does look amazing. I'm not gonna lie, it looks really amazing. But the speculation part actually comes in right after this. There's ooh, bro, I'm so ready to just go from like point A to point B to Queens to Brooklyn to ooh, I'm ready, bro. Again, another beautiful shot here. And then we get this beautiful shot of Coney Island, which I'm gonna say Coney Island looks fantastic. Like it generally looks fantastic. And if y'all have not been to Coney Island, bro, it is the most beautiful place to go to at night. I promise you that.
Guys, this is my best friend Harry.
Alright, so the next shot we get is Peter introducing Harry to Miles and Genki, which this part I do believe that this is going to be like somewhere in the middle of the game because it would make only a little bit of sense for this to be like somewhere in the for this to be somewhere in the middle of the beginning half of the game. Also, MJ got a completely new look. And she actually low key on is sit there and cat like she kinda actually looks a very much comic book accurate to how MJ looks in the comic books, with like the long red hair and whatnot. So see, she do look a little better than what she did in the first game.
Hey.
Also, we got this shot of Miles and Harry. Dang, bruh. But we got the shot of Miles and Harry meeting for the first time, which this is actually going to be very interesting because, like I said, like I generally believe that because Brian Internard and pretty much like everybody else who worked on the game has confirmed Harry is not gonna be Venom, which I know somebody in the comment section is gonna be like, well, at the end of the trailer, Venom says we're gonna heal the world. I will get to that on why I believe that is not Harry, and why I do believe that Harry might become Venom, but not that Venom. But anyway, we get this cool shot. You can also see like a lot of stuff in the background. Like the environment looks so like realistic that's not even funny. Also, it seems like Peter has become more, like inquiring with Genki and whatnot. And you can also see like this little guy in the background, or this guy in the background is wearing a weed shirt.
New job, huh? Still gonna have time for tutoring?
So Miles mentions here new job, which I believe, because at first my speculation after being a Miles game, because Peter did say, he might look into it that he was going to be a teacher, but based off of what we got from the gameplay trailer, I'm thinking that Harry is actually going to offer Peter like to come work at Oscorp and whatnot, because of his whole entire sickness, and plus he did say we were going to change the world. So whatever that conversation was in the beginning half of the thriller, I believe that's going to play some part of Peter like going in to work for Harry, because we already know like he's not really that buddy with Norman because of everything that happened with the first game, including Aunt May and Otto. So that's I'm like, I don't think it's gonna, like, he's not just gonna randomly go there because of Norm, because he needs a job. But I generally just think he's just gonna go there because of this alien symbiote, which this is actually how I think Peter's gonna get the symbiote to, right? Which is that conversation Peter and Harry has. Harry's going to tell Peter he needs his help because of what's the wrong looking word? Because he wants to help the world and heal it, right? Peter's going to agree, and he's going to go to Oscorp. And this is also where I believe we're going to actually be able, for the first time in a Spider-Man game, actually like explore Oscorp and probably just go in there freely, because we did it with the first game where we were like able to go into the lab, since that's where he was working at. And also I do know that they did say that we will be able to explore different apartments, and we're not, and one of those apartments slash houses is going to be Aunt May's house. So I'm hoping, right? I'm hoping that because of that, we're going to be able to switch into the suits, like pick our suits in Peter's closet. Because me personally, I'm gonna be honest, like the pause menu was cool for like the first two games, but I don't want to keep pausing the game or going to like the map just to switch the suits. Like I find that to be actually like annoying, because like, I don't know, there's something about just like pausing it and then switching into a suit, then going back out, then pausing, then going back out, then pausing again. It's just like, it gets annoying, right? Because like, where's you just want to like swing to Peter's apartment, go in, and pick the suit, and then he just hops out, and because of the PS5, loading screen is gonna be faster, right? Like, I honestly want that, and I do believe that we're gonna get a lot of stuff with with the PS5 because it's only on PS5, so there's a lot that they're gonna do with this. What's one of those things I believe we're gonna get is free roaming as Peter Parker and Miles, and being able to like switch into a suit by going into alleyway. Like, I generally think we're gonna get that. To be honest, it would only make sense because they said they want to capture the full-on power of the PS5 to push this game's limits. So that would be one of them. But no, so it's like Peter's gonna go to Oscorp with Harry. They're gonna be working, and Peter's gonna. I want to say the symbiote is going to be in that container, right? If it's not gonna be in that big container, then it's definitely going to be in, what's the word I'm looking for? In like a little tiny container. Which is why I think like somewhere along the lines while Peter's like working at Oscorp, a part of the symbiote is going to latch on to Peter. I don't know how it's gonna latch on, but it's gonna latch on to Peter somehow, right? So let's say maybe like Peter accidentally like knocks the little file over or whatever, and the glass breaks, or the little container over and the glass breaks, and that part of that symbiote like latches on to Peter's shoe or something, or maybe even like the inside the lab coat. So because of that, now Peter doesn't even know that the symbiote latched onto him. So when he does go, let's say fight, I'm gonna take a random villain. Let's say Tombstone. Let's say they brought Tombstone back, right? Because they did sell Tombstone. So let's say Peter goes to fight Tombstone or whatever, and like he's losing wherever. The symbiote forms its shape, and then Tombstone's like, "Whoa, that's a new suit," or whatever, and Peter winds up looking at his hand, seeing that his suit is fully black, and just like not knowing what's going on. But because he's still in the middle of a fight, he still fights Tombstone. Like, I do believe that he's going to get the symbiote in Oscorp, which also a lot of people are saying who Venom is going to be. I got three options: Peter, Norman, or Kraven. I'm leaning a little more towards Peter because of the way or the way that the blog posts have been wording everything about Peter in the black suit. So
Figure it out.
alright, the next thing we got is the shot of Kraven's goons popping into a building, which we don't know what building this is, but this scene does look clean. So for this, I do believe that this is going to be somewhere in like the second half of the game. Mind you, we only know of Kraven and Venom, but I do believe, again, it's Insomniac. They done this with first game, that the true main villain is going to be like Green Goblin. Alright, the next shot we get is one of Kraven's goons in the bear fur, which this bear fur actually looks really good, I'm not gonna lie. Also, this seems to be like the same museum that was in the Velocity comic book, but also the same museum that they used in the Spectacular Spider-Man TV show. So that's actually really cool. Again, you can see like the attention to detail here in the background and on the ceiling.
I didn't know there were bears in these woods. Hey, MJ.
The next shot we get, this is what I'm mostly hyped for both Peter and Miles. Freaking web wings. Now, there is a blog post that says that the web swinging is going to be included with the web wings to give you more momentum and speed, So like the West Wing is automatically gonna be off the charts. And they said you could just switch between like the West Wing and Web Wings just like that. So this is gonna make West Wing like really, really fun for both Peter and Miles. And I know they also did confirm that you can play as both Peter and Miles like in the free roam and switch between the two like freely. Which I hope they do this for the love of God, because I need them to do it, because if they don't, it's gonna be such a missed opportunity, which is allowing us to play in the black suit after we beat the game. And if we can't play it in the black suit after we beat the game the first time around, then we would be able to play it in the New Game Plus option, to where it's like you can switch between the symbiote blob suit and all that stuff. But I believe they're gonna have, you know, us be able to switch between the symbiote suit and whatnot in the after we beat the game, because I'm like, it would only make sense. And plus, if they don't, it is gonna be a missed opportunity and a little disappointing, because like we got to play as the suit or play with the suit in the story, but we can't play with it after the story. So that would be a little disappointing if they did that. But I don't think they're gonna do that, knowing how popular the black suit is and knowing how many people are gonna probably want to, you know, like play with the suit after. If anything, I think they might pull a Spider-Man Wedge of Shadows, because I know in Wedge of Shadows, once you beat the game officially, like you could still switch between the red and black suit. Like, yeah, you lose the black suit from that one mission, but after you beat it, you're able to go back in and free roam in the black suit and whatnot. So I think they're gonna pull a Wedge of Shadows, to where it's like, even after we beat the game, we're still gonna be able to like switch into the black suit and whatever. And they did say that there were gonna be different like color variants and whatnot for like Peter and Miles' suits that come with the pre-orders. So I'm like, this makes me think if we're getting color variants, we're probably that link that came out a while back that said like there's gonna be like multiple variants of like the black suit, or every Spider-Man suit is gonna have its own like variant of the black suit of what it looks like if you have that suit on. I'm thinking like that link's actually gonna be true now, and we're not, which, because that most likely gonna be the case by the time I play New Game Plus, because I will be playing this on my channel. By the time I do New Game Plus, or we do New Game Plus, I'm gonna be wearing the TASM 2 suit again. I'm calling up. They're gonna put that suit in the game. If they don't, we're rioting.
I have another name for you.
I was gonna pause. All right. The next shot we got is of Kraven the Hunter. But no, Kraven here actually looks really good and actually terrifying. Like, this man looked like he went to, bro, I promise you, even in comic books, Kraven ain't this big, bro. Like, he ain't this big. Even in Spectacular, he wasn't this big, bro. This man hit the gym after freaking like 10-something years, bro. This man's like, bro, y'all did me dirty like every single time I was in a comic book and a TV show. Now, nah. Now you gonna get it. Like, this man really sat here and said, bro, after Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3, I couldn't have that. This man really sat here and said, after freaking Andrew Garfield's TASM 2 video game, I couldn't have that, bro. Like, he really sat there and said, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna go back to the jungle, I'm gonna work out a little more, and I'm gonna get a little buffer. I do not remember Kraven being this buff, bro. Let alone this tall. Like, it is actually terrifying.
Kraven.
No, yeah, so Kraven's goons are riding in New York, as we see from the gameplay trailer, because he is on for like the hunt. Which is why I'm like, in terms of this is like, this is definitely gonna be in the second half, because Peter already has the black suit. He's after Connors. like he's after Connors and he's trying to protect Connors. He's trying to get Connors back to the way he was so he can help Harry and whatnot. So that's why I'm like, this is definitely like in the second half after Peter gets the symbiote, which again, the symbiote is slowly evolving and he's slowly turning to Venom, which is why I'm like, I generally believe Peter might be Venom for real. Like for the second to third half of the game, I generally think he's gonna be Venom.
He's here on some kind of hunt.
Alright, the next shot we get is a flashback scene of how the symbiote got to Earth. So the biggest thing about like the two post-credit scenes for Marvel Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales is that people were speculating like, are they going the ultimate route where it was handmade, or are they going like the classic route to where it was an alien that came from space? And this scene confirms it, and they did confirm that saying on Comic-Con that they're going the classic route to where it is the alien that like dropped from a meteor onto Earth. So that is this shot right here, which that is absolutely really cool because like I do like the handmade storyline, but the classic storyline of it being like an alien from a different like planet and whatnot landing on Earth and no one not knowing like what it is and like no one not being the creator of it or Richard Parker not being the creator of it. It's like I like that story a little better. But yeah, so we get the shot of military men, and I don't know who that is. Like that looks like to be Dr. Connors. Maybe that is Dr. Connors like before he lost his arm. And bro, look at the symbiote, bro. That thing looks cool. That thing looks cool. So this may be Dr. Connors like before he lost his arm, or right, or because Peter's parents were mentioned in the first game. This could be a flashback of like Richard Parker like discovering the symbiote, but instead of like Richard Parker being the one who created it, like they sat there and found out that there's an alien life form on Earth that they were looking at, and then took it to Oscorp. Yeah, so this again, like my gut's saying this is Connors, and something happened to him. Like maybe the symbiote like attached to him and like cut like ripped his arm off or something. But then again, like I'm not sure. This seems actually really like mysterious because I'm like, it could be Connors, it could be Richard, it could be a completely new like character. But I'm focusing more on Connors because I feel like it would only make sense that this would be Connors before he lost his arm, because we don't know how he lost his arm in this universe. So like have like the idea of like having a symbiote be like the reason that Connors lost his arm is actually very interesting to me.
You know, if you need me, I'm just a call away.
Alright, so the next shot we got is Peter and Miles in their new suits, what seems to be them on top of a building, and I want to say that's either Queens or like Manhattan or maybe even Brooklyn, but Miles goes on to tell Peter that if he ever needs him, he's just a call away. So what we do know about this game too is that Miles' story is actually going to be playing a big part in this game from what they have said. And one of those big parts is what you can see at the like after the shot. Is that Miles is going to be confronting Martin Lee, and in that shot, he does say, "You have no idea what you took from me." But focus on this one. So, what I think this scene is because from San Diego Comic Con, they did say that Miles is trying to like apply to his college and whatnot. Now they didn't say out of state, but they did say he's trying to like finish his college application to apply to like whichever college. Now, I think this could go one of two ways, and it would be very interesting if it went this way on why Miles is saying like I'm just a call away. So it's like we know there's Brooklyn, we know there's Harlem, Queens, and Manhattan, right? Now, what I think would be very interesting is that Miles applies to college, but he gets accepted to a college, let's say on the whole other side of Brooklyn. So, and that's why he's like, if you need me, I'm just a call away. Because Brooklyn, like, it's far, but it ain't that far from like. Again, we don't know where they're at the moment. I want to say this is probably like they're on the side of like New York where Queens is, or maybe even Manhattan. So that's what I'm like. I think that would be like very interesting. That like reason Miles is saying that is because like, well, he's going to college or something, and it's like Peter's gonna be dealing with a lot on his side of the city. Which I actually like the idea that Miles is actually gonna be like chilling in Brooklyn and like being the Brooklyn, New York Spider-Man, while Peter's gonna be like the Queens and Manhattan Spider-Man. But if he ever needs Miles, Miles is gonna like swing up and he just hits him up. That's like the first option, or the second option, which I don't think would be likely, because it's like how would you even get there? Is if Miles winds up getting accepted into a college that's out of state, and he tells Peter like I'm just a call away, because he can like maybe he can find his way back to New York or something. But I don't think that's gonna be the case, honestly. Like I generally think Miles is probably getting accepted into like Brooklyn Visions or something, or maybe in like a college in Brooklyn to where it's like that's why he's saying that, because like, well, Brooklyn's mad far, but if like you ever need me, so like I'll just call. So because we do know that like he is living in Harlem, and we do know that from the Miles game that they moved from Brooklyn. And if you play the recap, right? If you play the recap in the Miles game, he does confirm that they lived in Brooklyn, New York before they lived in Harlem. So that's why I'm like, it would only make sense for Miles to go back to Brooklyn for the college that he's going to, which is why he says, if you ever need me, I'm just a call away. But also, this seems to look like this is like after maybe like something just went down to where Peter and Miles are like talking. Now this, I like when I first saw Cheryl, I didn't even think this was Martin Lee, bro. Like I thought this was a whole like all I heard was the music, the hype took over. I heard you don't know what you took from me. I'm like, what in the world? But they really had this man Lee out here. Now, another thing, a lot of people are saying this is on the raft, but this is not on the raft, right? And I generally believe that somebody else is going to die that is close to Miles, which is why Miles says, you have no idea what you took from me. Because we know he offed his dad in the first game. But I feel like something else went down, because they also confirmed that Kraven's going to be like the main reason all this stuff is going down. So like Lee, etc. And I honestly feel like Lee was Kraven forced Lee to go back to be Mr. Negative or something, because if you even go back to like the first gameplay trailer when like Kraven's going through all like the different people that are in like the raft and whatnot, Lee is not in there. or on that list. So that means one, two things. Either A, they transported him, or B, he wind up escaping. But I think they're transporting him to like um a different prison. And maybe Craven like wind up like breaking Lee out, because right in the background, this is why I say this is not the raft, because they're civilians, right? And if you know anything about the raft, there are no civilians on there besides from the guards, right? But this, if you look in the background, you can see city buildings. So this all happens, whatever went down, all happens in the city. But I also believe that this is that Martin Lee is actually going to become Mr. Negative again and use the negative side again, due to the fact that like he looks like he's went through a lot, but I feel like again Craven convinced Lee to go into Mr. Negative mode again, but also knowing Craven, because we know Lee's parents died, but we don't know if he has any other family besides from his parents, right? So I'm thinking Craven went to Martin Lee, told him like, yo, you gonna do this, or else this other part of your family gonna get got too, just like your parents. So with Lee having no choice, he winds up becoming Mr. Negative again and causes like all this chaos and whatnot. But also I feel like there's probably gonna be some villains that escape the raft, or Rikers, that help Lee cause this chaos. But also in this scene, you hear Miles say, "You have no idea what you took from me." Now, sorry, allergies, y'all. So, I think this can mean one, two things, right? A, he is referring to his dad, which I genuinely believe. Two, somebody else close to Miles, because they knew he was Spider-Man, died from Lee's hand. And they were really close to him, which is why he's saying, "You have no idea what you took from me." Or all the above, where Miles is referring to his dad and somebody else that had just died from Lee's hand. As much as I don't want to say it, like, I would not be surprised, and I generally say would not be surprised if Lee wind up somehow offing like Haley, or even like Genki or Miles' mom, and that's why he's saying like, "You have no idea what you took from me," because they got caught in the crossfire. Also, we don't know who these civilians are in the background, but from what it looks like, because there looks like to be some type of fan behind Miles or something. So, but I generally believe that Miles is gonna pull on No Way Home, where he's just gonna beat the dog crap out of freaking Lee, because like everything that he's done. So
What you took from me?
the next shot we got is the shot of Yuri Watanabe as Rafe. I'm not gonna lie, if you watched my trailer reaction, I did think this was She Venom at first, because I'm like, bro, the way they had it and the way it looks, I'm like, is that She Venom? And then for some reason, I thought it was Miles. But then, like, look at it, I'm like, oh no, that's Rafe. That's definitely Rafe. But yeah, so we got a picture of Peter, and I want to say that's probably MJ on the ground with him, looking at Rafe. And if that's not MJ, that's either Genki or like maybe even Harry and whatnot. But the Rafe boss fight actually looks like it's gonna be really cool. So I think this might be first encounter like actual first account where Spidey or Peter encounters Rafe for the first time, and this is gonna be like the first. Which I've stated this, right? I've stated this to my friends because they were like, "Bro, no, we don't need her as a main character in the story. Let's have her as a side mission. Have her as DLC." I'm like, "Bro, she's literally gonna be part of the main story because she was part of the main story in the first game. Like, why would you not have her as a main villain in the second game?" So this has been confirmed that she is going to be a main character or a main villain for Peter in the second game. Because if you look at this and then you also look at like the second post that they posted where Peter is fighting Rafe, he's in the black suit. So it means we don't just fight Rafe once, we fight her twice, and it's gonna be somewhere in the main story. Because again, mind you, this is all for the story. Like, a thing people seem to forget about story trailers is that when a story trailer comes out and shows stuff, it literally confirming that this is part of the main story. So Rafe is part of the main story, and it is very interesting. And I'm like, I love it because it's like, I've been saying like, I want Peter to like wind up going over the edge, which they confirmed that they're pushing him over the edge, and they're gonna have him do something drastic, which we'll get into in the next shot trailer. But this shot is really cool. Can't wait for this boss fight because like, I'm telling you right now, we're gonna send so much emotion behind Yuri Lorenthal's voice and Yuri Watanabe's voice because, mind you, those two voice actors are married, so the chemistry and the hurt. Oh, I'm ready.
Oh, Miles.
And then we get this shot from, I believe this is from the gameplay trailer actually, but I don't think this is from the gameplay trailer. But we get this next shot to where Miles is going after Craven's like drones or whatever, and he winds up ripping the wings off, which it looks like Miles is after this convoy, and whatever is in this convoy like must hold some type of weight or information that Miles needs to get. So I'm thinking like maybe that convoy has either like, let's say, Peter, and that's why he's trying to get there because that convoy has Peter in it, or maybe even MJ, or that convoy has somebody that is a close loved one in it, and he has to stop these drones from taking them. And if that's not the case, then it's gonna that convoy probably has Martin Lee in it or something. But I can't wait for this scene either because this looks cool.
How to be a better Spider-Man.
All right, the next shot we get, which this is so beautiful, is Real Morales talking to Peter, telling Peter that all Miles ever talks about is how to be a better Spider-Man to help Peter. Which this dynamic actually sounds really cool, but I feel like at this point in the game, this is when Peter still has the black suit and it's like starting to change his personality or whatever. Which is why Rio's like telling him like all he ever talks about is wanting to be a better Spider-Man to help you and whatnot. But like the biggest parts, because it's like I feel like this game is gonna focus a lot on like the dynamic of Miles' story going forward, because like there are like a lot of shots of Miles in this, but there's also a lot of shots of Peter. But I feel like the big story plot points that people are gonna be looking forward to is like the dynamic of Miles going up against Mr. Negative, seeing how his story progresses. Me personally, I'm hyped for both because I'm like, Peter's story in this is like really different compared to like comic books and like movie media. Because again, mind you, this is all after his college years. So, and plus Gwen's not dead in this universe, about like all that. I do believe we're gonna see Gwen pop up. I'm calling it now. We're gonna see Gwen pop up sooner than later. But yeah, no. So this is definitely going to be. I feel like this is gonna be that moment where Peter is like really like getting out of it, and Rio's talking to him, trying to get him to come back to his senses and whatnot. Or maybe even Miles and Peter had like a argument or something. But also, this looks like to be their apartment or a new apartment. So maybe even Peter maybe like has swung by to check on Miles or not, and Miles wasn't there, and he ran into Rio, and Peter's telling Rio like maybe like Miles shouldn't be Spider-Man because it's too dangerous or whatever or whatnot. But like, I'm very curious to see what's going to happen in this scene because, whew, like, and the way he looks back at Rio, bro, stop. The way he looks back at Rio here also says a lot, to where I'm thinking Peter is like, this is the moment where Peter's like slowly starting to change due to the symbiote. And he's looking back at Rio is like, well, maybe she's right, type is. And then we get this famous shot from the game trailer where Peter jumps into the warehouse with the symbiote suit and whatnot. Or maybe even that scene was like him trying to get like information from Rio where Miles is at. Or whatever.
The hell's going on with Pete?
Alright, so as this is the coolest scene, right? Because at this point in the trailer, we hear Miles say, "What the hell is going on with Pete?" And this is when he has the black suit. So that's why I'm thinking that scene that we just saw is it holds relevance to this scene going forward, to where he has the black suit, because the black suit is changing him. Which again, there's not really much to say about this scene. We already seen the scene, and like we already know what the scene unfolds. So moving on.
It's not himself.
All right, now this scene right here. All right, now hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Okay, hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. I know we hated MJ missions in the first game, but I would not mind seeing a couple in the second. I'm not even gonna lie. I wouldn't mind seeing a couple in the second, because like the idea of playing as MJ while you are being hunted by a menacing black suited Spider-Man that is slowly turning into Venom. I mean, look at this man. Look at how he's looking. This man is instantly looking to the side like, where you at, yo? You ain't think I forgot about how you treated me in the first game? Nah, you ain't getting off the hook. Like, bro, he looks menacing. He looks terrifying. And also, believe it or not, this is actually a shot from a comic book, which is called Spider-Man Shadows, to where that whole dynamic, and they are pulling from that comic book, is that Peter never took the black suit off at that point. And from there, Peter changes his rules and pretty much starts offing people, and like the symbiote slowly takes over, and at one point it completely takes over, right? But yeah, this scene actually looks very terrifying, and they did confirm that this game is also going to have very like horror elements to it. So and they did say, there was a blog post that said you want to play this game with the lights off. So I'm like, oh my god, we gotta get jump scares. So when this game comes out, I'm going to be playing it at night. I'm telling you that right now. At night, I'm playing this game. But yeah, this scene is very interesting. And there's actually another scene beforehand, after this, that makes me believe that Peter has also one. So the next scene we get is the scene of Miles jumping into which seems to be Kraven Romanov's like mansion. And we get some new enemy types here too. So I think these are like guarded or like shielded enemies again. Like again, these ain't nothing that we haven't dealt with like with the underground. So it's like it's that they're only a little bigger with shields. But again, like Miles, bro, come on, Miles about to clear this whole entire room, bro. Like all it takes is one Omega Venom Blast and it's done. Like let's be honest here. But now this scene looks really cool. All right, so the next scene we get is Peter hunting down the lizard and the lizard screeching, which showing that Peter is affected by the sound waves and Venom is affected by the sound waves. So that's something that they are keeping. And there is so we know the two weaknesses in this game are going to be sound waves and electricity. Why do I say electricity? Because if you go to when they were revealing the PlayStation Spider-Man Marvel Spider-Man 2 PlayStation, you can hear Yuri and Naji Miles like talking when the symbiote's like covered over the PlayStation, and he's telling Miles like, Miles, help me get this off. And Miles trying to help him get it off, but figures like thinks about using his Venom Blast, and then as he uses his Venom Blast, like the symbiote detaches from Peter. So that already confirmed that we're gonna get that fight, and that like, you know, his two weaknesses or this the two weaknesses in this game are electricity and sound waves. Alright, the next shot we get is Kraven and his goons appearing again in the city. So I think this is actually going to be the same scene where Miles and Peter were like wherever they were at, and Miles like, you don't know what you took from me. So I'm thinking this is that. Again, this man didn't, bro, I don't remember Kraven being this buff, bro. This man really was hurt after TASM 2. He's like, bro, I gotta get my lick back. Like he said, I gotta get my lick back after TASM 2, bro, because y'all did me dirty in there. Which, it's understandable. That's understandable. I'm not gonna lie, Kraven. That's understandable. You know, that's very understandable. But yeah, this scene actually looks like it's gonna be very close to like that scene that we saw not too long ago where Miles and Peter were on wherever they were at with Martin Lee. So again, Kraven actually looks really good in this shot. And again, this is the city. You can tell from like the buildings and the street road and whatnot.
This was our dream.
Alright, so the next shot we get is Harry talking to Peter, telling him that this was our dream. So I'm assuming right now, again, I'm not saying Harry's not gonna be Venom, but I feel like he's not gonna be that version of Venom. And if he is, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, it would be cool. But like, and I know people are gonna say, well, we already seen him become Venom in Ultimate Spider. We never really saw him fully become Venom. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I gotta go back and watch it. But as far as I remember, like he had the watch. But yeah, so we got Peter and like Harry going on to talk, and Harry telling Peter like this was our dream. So I'm guessing that Peter probably did something to where it's very similar to like the Spectacular Spider-Man, to where like Eddie Brock was like, you brought the symbiote back, and he's like, it's gotta go, and froze it and whatnot. But then like the symbiote connects to him due to his pure hatred and rage. Because we do know that the symbiote's going off of pure emotion in this game, right? So I'm thinking that maybe Harry does become Venom, right? But I'm still thinking that Peter might become Venom for like the first few minutes of the game, or like close to the like third half of the game. Because I believe there's gonna be like, normally when it comes to a movie, there's normally like the first half, second half, third half, and then like the fourth to fifth to final half of the movie/game. So I'm thinking that with this one, because they said this one's gonna be longer, there's at least gonna be like 4 to 5 different halves of the story. You have half one, half two, half three, and half four, and then half five is where like we get the big boss fight. But yeah, maybe like Peter sat there and like destroyed some research, or has sat there and told her like the symbiote, like it doesn't really work. It's not gonna heal you. It's just gonna take you over or whatever. So I'm very curious to see what this conversation is. Also, there seems to be a helicopter which has the word Oscorp on it. So maybe like Peter. Also, it looks like Peter's wearing darker clothes. So maybe this is when he still has the symbiote. But yeah, this scene's gonna be crazy. So after he says this is our dream, you do see that moment from the gameplay trailer to where he jumps out with the symbiote. So maybe when he's talking to Peter saying this was our dream, maybe he is referring to the fact that the symbiote has gone missing and he does not know where it is. Which I've also stated this right before, because like another thing, which is why I believe they put the gave Peter the white symbol, and I said this to my friend like 2021. Like the reason, so if y'all don't know, right, in Spider-Man and like every source of media where he gets the black suit, like the symbol changes and whatever, and it's a white spider, right? Now when it attaches to Venom, it gives Venom like that white logo. But the thing is, like, Peter never really had a white logo on his suits and like those sources of media and whatnot. So I believe why they Insomniac gave him a white logo is to where it's gonna make a little more sense now to why, when the symbiote detaches from Peter and goes to another host, it has that white symbol. It is going to be because that white symbol was absorbed from the Venom symbiote from Peter's suit, and because they want to make a mockery of Peter, they make that white symbol as like the Venom's logo, right? Because even in like the Tom Hardy thing, in the Tom Hardy movie, he doesn't have the logo, right? He doesn't have the Venom, like the Spider-Man logo, because he hasn't fought Spider-Man yet, or because the Venom symbiote has not attached to Peter yet. So that's just like a little like detail that I thought is kind of cool. But also so this shot right here shows Harry limping, so that he's still kind of sick. And now I want to say this is probably very, and I say very, like somewhere close to where Harry is starting to become a little more angry and whatnot. And this is where he starts like slowly going into like TASM 2 mode, which arguably, believe it or not, right, there was a script for the plot of TASM 3, or TASM like the original plot for like TASM 2 and 3, which the main plot for TASM 2 is that it was gonna focus on Peter and Electro, and Peter's still trying to like discover the truth about his parents, and then part 3 was gonna pretty much be this, to where he would get the Venom symbiote and whatnot. So I find it very interesting that this is actually like they're doing that same like story from 2002, but if not doing it better. But yeah, so we get this shot of Harry limping, which I want to say that's probably inside of Oscorp, like a part of Oscorp that we haven't seen yet. All right, the next shot.
Self. Go. Help.
This was our dream.
All right, so the next shot we got is all right, so the next shot we got is a shot of Peter looking to be like shot again. People were complaining about this black suit, but bro, this black suit looks really good. I'm like, it looks really, really good. But yeah, so this next shot we get is a shot of Peter, and it looks like he is under some type of like helicopter or ship or something, because like those look like thrusters in the background behind him, and also those look like flames coming out of it. So I want to say that that's probably like some type of jet, and due to that, like that's Peter's like reacting to the sound or whatnot. But yeah, this scene looks really clean and really cool. But after this, you do see like him kind of like bring his hands down a little bit, which I'm actually gonna slow it down a little bit.
Self, go, help him.
This was our dream.
Yeah, so he pulls his hands down a little bit, which I'm thinking like this is probably somewhere right after, like this somewhere where he's trying to get the suit off, and remembers that the suit is like weakness is sound or whatnot. Also, we get this cool shot right here of Peter spreading his freaking tentacles all over the place, just straight bodying people and becoming a menace. Which, again, I believe that's going to be... Bro, that is... Oh, this scene's going to be so cold. This scene is going to be cold. But yeah, so we see Peter, like, release all his tentacles or tendrils everywhere. And we see how powerful these tendrils are, because you could see that it literally, like, whatever Peter did... And that's what... And it looks to be an Oscorp. I think... Yeah, that's Oscorp. So they look to be an Oscorp. So one of two things. Maybe like Peter, like this is where Peter gets the symbiote and whatnot for the first time and doesn't know what it does, but this is like the first time he uses like the abilities of the symbiote, because I feel like this is where like Kraven starts going after like Norman or maybe even like Harry and whatnot, or not even Harry. They might like, because we know from the gameplay trailer they're going after Connors, and we do know that Dr. Connors works at Oscorp. So that's why I'm like, I think this might be the first time Peter gets the suit. And you see how much, bro, again, you see how much damage he did, because look at him. That man is up there. He's up there sticking to a wall. I mean, like, I did that. I am him. Like, I am him. Like, bro, he is him. Alright, so this is actually why I say I think Peter's going to awe somebody, right? So, a lot of my friends know that I've been saying, like, I believe that due to him giving into race, he's going to accidentally off MJ. Which I believe that he, like, some shape or form, I believe he's accidentally going to hurt MJ, put her in critical condition. But if that doesn't happen, he's definitely going to off somebody. Now, in this scene, you see MJ looking shocked and afraid, but you also saw somebody, like, she's looking down, and you also saw somebody, like, fall to the ground as if they just got murdered, right? Now, we don't know who this is, but based off of, like, the tech, like, the coloring, this is the same exact scene that we saw earlier from where MJ was hiding from Peter. But mind you, it's not even Peter, it is the Venom symbiote. So that's why I'm like, somewhere in this game, because they did say that he's going to go over the edge. Somewhere in this game, he's going to off somebody. It may not be MJ. Like, it may not be MJ, but I do believe some shape or form she might get got, because my as me and my mutual LC were talking about this on TikTok. He brought up the MTV Spider-Man, because we have Craven. Craven may may off MJ, like, because I have no doubt that somewhere along the lines Craven's gonna find out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man somehow, because he has that sense. So he might track Peter down and find him, and he's gonna find out that Peter is Spider-Man, and then he's gonna go after MJ. Right, because we only see MJ in a couple of shots. We don't really see her that much. We only see her when she is like there with Harry and Peter. We see her when Peter's talking to her. We see her when she's hiding from Peter, and we see her in this shot. We don't really see her that much, right? Not as much as we see like Peter, Miles, Craven, and Harry, right? And I feel like this is why I feel like there's gonna be death in this game. Like, people are gonna die, because we only saw one shot of Rio Morales. As much as I am praying that they don't offer, I feel like she's about to get off somehow. I'm not gonna lie. I generally feel like she's about to get off somehow. Which is why, like, I feel like the ones that we barely see in this trailer, that barely got any like screen time, are going to be the ones that are going to get murked off. That's why I'm like, I generally think that Miles' mom and MJ are going to get got. Like, in this scene, I actually think MJ might get got in this scene. And if she doesn't get got in this scene, then she might get got later on. But honestly, I generally believe that Peter and Miles are going to lose somebody. Like, and I know what people are going to say, well, why is Peter got to lose more, man? Why can't he be happy? Bro. 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 Are we not looking at the same trailer? Are we not looking how many people this man just murked off with that symbiote? We just gonna forget this man literally murked off people in a helicopter in gameplay like us. Alright, so the next scene we got, which this actually looks to be in some type of like jungle area in like Craven's house or whatever. So we see Miles doing his little Venom Blast, or Omega Venom Blast, which I believe he's going to be doing the Omega Venom Blast. And this actually might be a newer version of the Omega Venom Blast, because if you see right here, like, Miles is charging it up. But also, it seems like Miles' suit is a little damaged, so this also is like probably somewhere at the midst of battle. Like, as he probably like was using so much Venom Blast, or like getting thrown through walls or whatnot, like Peter would, to where his suit's kind of getting a little damaged. But this scene right here actually looks really good, and Miles about to earth people. He about to murk people, bro. Miles about to murk people off. Because I don't think you understand how powerful this... I don't know why I'm getting notification. I don't think you understand how powerful his Venom Blast is. And especially with this being like the new form version of it. But no, I can't wait for the scene, because this also looks like it's going to be great. Now, this scene right here is definitely, and I say definitely, the very beginning of the game. Again, I don't see it, but this is definitely the beginning of the game, because so if y'all don't know, at the end of the Miles game, Norman tells Connors to let Harry out of the container, which is why I'm like, this is definitely gonna be the very beginning of the game. And when not, to where he's gonna be out of the tank, so it's gonna take place right after the Miles game. And I believe they said this game takes like 7 months after, like a year and 7 months after the Miles game, because it's been over a year. It's been a year now, so it's like a year and 7 months after the Miles game and whatnot, if not maybe like longer. But I think this is like a year and 7 months after the Miles game, from what they said. So that's when like this scene's definitely gonna be like probably like the opening scene of the game, right after the Miles game, to where like Peter and them like Peter and Miles took down Roxxon and whatnot. So what I believe this is gonna be is like this is gonna be the beginning half of the game, like the opening scene where we see him come out of the tank. Norman and Harry are gonna have their little conversation and whatnot. After they have their conversation, because you also see that the symbiote is in the container still, which makes this further confirmation that this is the very beginning of the game, because me and Peter does not have the symbiote yet. So what I believe this is going to be is that this is going to be the beginning half. They're going to have the little talk as he's out of the container and whatnot. Norman's going to tell him, like, you know, you could catch up with Peter or whatever. And as he says that, the screen cuts to black, and then it loads in, showing another scene, which is the scene where we see Peter and Miles running off of the building and like swinging with each other to go stop crime. That is generally how I think, like, timeline wise, it's gonna go. So it's gonna go, he gets out of the tank, Peter and Miles, it switches to Peter and Miles swinging, then we're gonna be playing as Peter and Miles swinging and whatnot. We're gonna stop whoever, like, we're gonna stop the crime, whoever we're fighting. Then it's gonna go into, after that, MJ's gonna hit up Peter, telling him that Harry just got back, or even Harry might hit up Peter and be like, yo, I'm back, and whatnot. And then we're gonna get that conversation to where, like, Peter and Harry are having that little conversation at, like, the school or whatever. Then it's gonna go to Peter introducing Harry to Miles, and so on and so forth. That's how I generally think it's gonna go down. Alright, so in this scene, Harry is wearing the same shirt. So he is wearing the same shirt, and you hear him say Peter as he throws the glass. So now, mind you, I'm not saying that this is that scene, but again, because the symbiote is in that container, I feel like this is the beginning, but like Harry's like just pissed off and whatnot because of something, or because like his sickness is getting worse, and they're trying to find ways to like heal it. Now, another option is, if that's not the beginning, then that's somewhere to where the symbiote has got captured again, brought back to Oscorp, and Harry and Norman are talking. But I'm going with my first instinct of saying that is the beginning of the game, because it would only make sense for that to be the beginning, because it's like the symbiote, once it detaches from Peter, we know it's gonna go to somebody else. So it's like they wouldn't even really have time to really like sit there and capture it and bring it back to Oscorp and whatnot, because even if they tried, it would still somehow find its way to a different host and like wind up escaping with that host. So I'm definitely still going with the idea that was the first, like the very beginning of the game, which I generally believe it's going to be That's going to be the very beginning of the game. Now, in terms of Harry saying Peter, I believe that is going to be a whole different scene that they're not showing. And I think that's actually where Harry might find out that Peter had been Spider-Man. And he's actually going to be pissed off because Peter and the symbiotes who like destroyed some research or whatever that was going to help him, help Harry like heal himself in his condition. So he's yelling at Peter. Or either that, or Peter, or they pull a Spectacular Spider-Man moment to where Peter destroys the symbiote, or tries to destroy the symbiote, and Harry's yelling at Peter because that's the only thing that could, like, help him and whatnot. Alright, so the next shot we get is a shot of Harry. I want to say this is Harry, but then I want to say it's Peter in a different shirt, but I'm going with Harry. But then again, no, I feel like that's Peter because the hair is brown. So, the hair is brown. Because if you go back to this scene right here.
This was our dream.
Like, Harry's hair is like orange. But then again, like, in this scene, it's less orange. So it's like, that may be lining. Like, that might be lining. But then it's just like, the way the back of the hair looks. And if we go to like, let's say like the beginning. Like, it looks like Peter's hair. You see what I'm saying here? Like, it looks like, that looks like Peter's hair is like, because the back of it looks a lot like Peter's hair. And then also, if you look at the, like, the neck posture and whatever, it looks a lot like Peter's. So that's why I'm like, I want to say this is Peter in the scene looking over the city. And if it's not Peter, it's definitely Harry looking over the sea. But I'm going with, I'm going to say this is Peter looking over the sea, maybe at night. But after this shot, you hear Venom say, "We're going to heal the world." And this is what got a lot of people thinking that Harry is going to be Venom. Now, mind you, we do see Venom here. Now, this is why I said, well, I don't think Harry's going to be this version of Venom. Now, he says we're going to heal the world, right? He says this twice. So Harry says it in the beginning of the trailer, and then we hear Venom say it at the end. Now, when Harry says this, he says it to Peter, right? Now, I don't believe Harry's going to become this version of Venom, but I do believe he's going to become a version of Venom. And what do I mean, a version of Venom? If we go back to, even though it wasn't him, but if we go back to, let's say, Edge of Time in Ultimate Spider-Man, the show, right? Harry becomes Venom, but he doesn't become the, like, all black Venom. He becomes what we call anti-Venom, right? Now, me and my mutual Elsie were talking about this to where I told him, like, I don't believe Harry is going to actually become Venom, but he will become a Venom, which is going to be anti-Venom. And my boy LC even brought up the fact that we know we're going to be playing as Peter and Miles, right? And we know that they said they're going to be doing something completely different with the storyline, which is why I do believe that Peter is going to be Venom for like the second to third half of the game. And plus, if you look at the lining and whatnot, it looks like it's close morning, if not close dark. Now, what would be very interesting, which I think this is the route that they're going to go with, is that some point in the game, Peter fully on becomes Venom. So we can't even, like, we could play as him, but we don't really play as him. We play more as Miles trying to stop him, right? Now, Miles' Spider-Man goes to Harry on trying to stop the Venom symbiote, and Harry luckily has, right? I'm just adding on to what me and my mutual else you were talking about. But luckily Harry has another piece of the symbiote that he was keeping in safe, like safe space product, right? And he turns this version of the Venom symbiote and calls it the anti-symbiote, right? So now in part half of the game, we're playing as we're playing as Miles and Harry coming up with like a way to make the anti-symbiote be able to drain the Venom symbiote, like the original Venom symbiote, off of Peter. Because if you don't know about anti-Venom, anti-Venom is Venom, but only a different version of Venom, to where instead of feeding off of like negative emotions, the anti-Venom symbiote oh, that's Jumper. But instead of feeding off a negative emotion, the anti-Venom symbiote actually heals, right? So, and it cleanses. So if you go to Edge of Time to where like Eddie Brock was anti-Venom and he was like draining Peter, like Peter asks like, what are you doing? And he even says like, I'm cleansing you and whatnot. Because Peter's powers does come from like, you know, the radioactive spider. So when he was draining him, he was basically like draining him of his energy and whatnot, like killing him from all that radioactivity. So that's why I'm like, we might get like, I think it'll be really cool if Harry actually becomes anti-Venom instead of base Venom, and Peter actually becomes like base Venom for like a good few minutes of the third half of the game. And then like we get like a fight between anti-Venom and Venom, and we get to play as Peter's Venom going up against anti-Venom. And whatnot. I know this is a stretch, but it would make sense because the line that he says, we're going to heal the world. And the only Venom symbiote that heals is anti-Venom. Now, another thing is, Peter does become Venom after Harry passes. He says we're going to heal the world. Now it's Miles versus Peter getting the symbiote off him, or Norman becomes Venom and whatnot, and we have to fight Norman. And then post-credit scene is because Norman misses the Venom symbiote, or the power of that symbiote, but also because he lost his son, he becomes the Green Goblin. If not, maybe turn himself into like, let's say like a Red Goblin or Symbiote Goblin or something, right? Now I do believe, because of the movie that just came out, that we will get a post-credit scene, and I've been saying this, and I believe we're going to get it. We're going to get a post-credit scene of like Spider-Gwen or Miguel O'Hara like recruiting our Peter Parker, because we do know that he is in the movie, and they confirmed that that is the same Peter Parker from the Insomniac Earth. So I think, and I do believe that we're gonna get that post-credit scene, right? I do believe it. But now, so I think it'll be very interesting if Harry actually does become like anti-Venom, and he tries to heal like Peter from like the Venom symbiote, but he doesn't even know it's Peter from the Venom symbiote. Like, he just knows it's the other Spider-Man. So now what I would find very interesting is if Harry, when he heals Peter from the Venom symbiote with the anti-venom symbiote, he finds out that it is Peter behind it, and he's like utterly shocked and he disappears. And then he like somehow is like, that's why we hear him yell Peter, because like he's pissed because Peter then not Peter has not only just lied to him about like where he's been at all these years and what was happening, but he also stole his research, like quote unquote stole his research, even though the symbiote hopped onto him. So now Harry's even more like pissed off because not only is he dying, but Peter took the only thing that could have helped him or whatever. And let's say like it probably does get destroyed like in the process or something, or maybe even like it latches on to Harry. Now, they could do it to where like he does beat anti-venom for a while. That part of symbiote gets off of Harry, but then the base symbiote, because it feeds off negative emotion, goes on to Harry and latches onto him and turns him into Venom. Right? I want it to be Norman though, because I feel like that would be like the less expected option of Norman being Venom instead of like Craven or Harry. That's why I'm like, I'm leaning more towards like Peter and Norman becoming like Venom. Like Peter beats Venom for a minute, and Miles is working with Harry to like get Peter out of the symbiote suit. Then it goes to freaking Norman because Norman just lost his son and has a lot of animosity towards freaking Peter because he blames him for the death of his son. So he becomes Venom. Like, and then like we beat him. It goes on to this whole thing to where he misses the power, he flees, he becomes the Green Goblin. Then the symbiote, like, before we get that post-credit scene with, like, Norman becoming Goblin, the symbiote leaves and we see it, like, we see it, like, go to somebody else and whatnot, which is why I think we might even get 3 post-credit scenes, because, like, we basically got 3 post-credit scenes within the first game, really, which was we got the Harry thing, then we had like the whole Miles thing, so it's like they could do 3 post-credit scenes and whatnot to set it like more, but like I think it would be very interesting that Norman would become Venom, because that would be something completely new. It's something we never seen before, and they already confirmed that Harry and Eddie Brock are not Venom. So it's like, if that comes from the creators themselves, which it did, it's like, okay, so who would be Venom? This is why I'm like, we gotta really think outside the box with this one instead of like latching on and saying, oh, this blatantly obvious is gonna be Harry because of the line from the trailer. Like, yes, I know, and a lot of people like do compare it to the Arkham things, like, but the Arkham Knight situation was completely different because like we automatically knew that it was going to be Jason Todd. Like that was blatantly obvious, especially if you like read the freaking like the comic books and whatnot. So it's like, but with this, it's like it's not really that obvious. Yes, it may seem obvious because of the trailer, but as I explained to my friends on live yesterday, like the things a lot of people don't understand about trailers is that the people working behind the trailers take scenes from certain parts of like the story and mix it to throw people off. So the scene where we see like Harry or Peter like standing and looking over a city, we don't know what scene that is, like what point in the story that scene is gonna be. Like, even though I'm speculating about like the scene where Norman's touching Harry, I could be completely wrong of that being like the very beginning of the game. Like, my gut's telling me that's right, but I could be wrong, right? Like, they take trailers or they take scenes from the part of the story to throw people off because they want people to speculate and guess, right? Now, that's when like it's not really obvious who Venom is. Like we could say it, you could say it's obvious because of wording, but we don't know if that's actually Harry behind her. That could be Norman. Like Harry could have said the same thing to Norman, his father. That could be Peter. Like those are the only two people that I actually generally think that would be Venom. Like something's going to happen to Harry. Just like how I believe something is going to happen to like either MJ or Miles' mom, right? It would make sense for Harry to actually get off by somebody and doing the process. Now, let's put it this way. They could pull a Sam Raimi moment, right? They could pull a Sam Raimi one to where the roles are reversed to where Harry is fighting Peter, right? And due to Peter taking the symbiote off of Harry, Harry dies. Then it goes to Norman. And Norman catches Spider-Man in like the laboratory or wherever that's going to be at and sees that Spider-Man was there. Spidey flees. Norman goes over to Harry holding his son. And the symbiote attaches itself to Norman. Now Norman goes after Craven and Peter because they're responsible for Harry's death. That's why, like, with this, you actually would have to think outside the box because they're making it to where it's someone that we're least expecting, which nobody would expect Norman Osborn, right? Nobody would expect Norman Osborn or even, like, Craven. Like, a lot of people are expecting Craven, but a lot of people are just expecting to be Harry Osborn, which is why I'm saying, like, I'm thinking outside the box. I don't think it's Harry. I do believe Peter's gonna become Venom for like for a while, but the overall who is actually gonna be Venom for like the whole entire game, I'm giving that to Norman. It would make sense. Like we already know, like he already pretty much pissed off at Spider-Man to begin with. So, and with them off in Harry, which I believe they're gonna do, it would make sense for Norman to be Venom. And then we get this beautiful shot right here. Now, mind you, this is the most beautiful shot of Venom that I've ever seen in my life, bro. Now, this does look to be at the city, if not somewhere closer to the city. So, we don't know who he is roaring at. This could be Craven, it could be Miles and Peter. It could be someone completely already different, right? But nah, Venom looks absolutely terrifying here. Generally. And I like how they went with like how he looked in the Tom Hardy film. Cause like if you couldn't tell, like they did take a lot of inspiration from that. But also they took a lot of inspiration from the comic books. So this is honestly the best Venom I've ever seen in video game format. To be fair, like it really is. October 20th, 2023. But anyway, guys, that was the full-on breakdown video for my thoughts and speculation on Marvel Spider-Man 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to hit that follow button if you're watching this on TikTok. And remember to hit that subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube. Turn on notification bell so you know when I upload and stream, whether it be on TikTok or YouTube. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Also, when this game does come out, like I said, I will be doing a full-on live stream of this game when it comes out. And somewhere around, I'm going to say August. I'll say August. Somewhere around August, I am going to be live streaming Marvel Spider-Man 1 plus the DLC and Miles Morales before this game comes out. Or because it would be closer, I might stream it in September, since that's only like literally a month away from October. So I haven't really fully on found the like details on what month I'm going to stream those games, but I might do it in August. Actually, no, I don't want to do. I'm gonna stream Marvel Spider-Man 1 in August, and then in September I'm going to stream Miles Morales, so that way the story is kind of caught up. So you got the deals, the first game in August, and then the second game in September, or the Miles Morales game in September, and then we got the second game in October. So, but anyway, yeah. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Y'all stay safe, stay real. Deuces, Spideys.